Spurs given a huge boost ahead of the Brentford game as Dominic Solanke is back in training. More links with a possible move for Savinho as it looks increasingly likely that Brennan Johnson will move on this window. Spurs linked again with Yandere, but this would not be an easy or cheap deal to get done. And some Brentford and Spurs team news ahead of the Premier League clash on New Year's Day. Here are your daily Tottenham news headlines, the last one of 2025. Hello, welcome back to the channel. My name's Craig and here are your daily Tottenham news headlines where I'll be going through all the latest news, rumours and reports. If you're watching on YouTube and are not already as yet subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. Like, share and comment below, and if you're listening on an audio platform, please do hit that follow button and leave a review if you can. Okay, let's get into it. Sports Mole report that according to Standard Sport, Dominic Solanke appears to have taken a significant step towards his competitive return after participating in team training at Hotspur Way on Tuesday and indeed again today on Wednesday. The England international has been sidelined since late August with a persistent ankle injury that eventually required a surgical procedure in September. Solanke shared footage on his official Instagram account captioned "Still Alive", showing him taking part in various running, passing and shooting drills without any visible limitations. While the 28-year-old was recently omitted from the Champions League squad in favour of Matisse Tell, his presence on the training pitch suggests his rehabilitation is ahead of schedule. Frank had previously been cautious about providing a specific time frame for the forward, but this latest development will provide a timely boost for the coaching staff. The return of Solanke to the training group comes at a critical juncture as Spurs prepare for a frantic run of 8 matches in the new year. Frank is already without the services of Pat Matasar and Yves Bissouma, who are representing their respective nations at the Africa Cup of Nations in Morocco. Furthermore, the squad remains depleted by the continued absence of creative duo Dejan Kulusevski and James Maddison due to their own fitness struggles. The potential return of Solanke will alleviate the goal-scoring burden on Richarlison as the club competes on multiple domestic and European fronts. TalkSport claim that Tottenham Hotspur are readying a fresh swoop for Manchester City winger Savinho. Spurs were rebuffed by City, of course, when they tried to sign the Brazilian last summer, even though he was keen on a move to North London. The Europa League holders are hoping that the pending arrival of Bournemouth's Antoine Semenyo will change City's stance. However, TalkSport have been told it is unlikely that the Premier League title hopefuls will sanction departures for both the sought-after Oscar Bob and Savinho in January. That being the case, Spurs would seek alternative targets to improve their wide options, which head coach Thomas Frank sees as a priority position to strengthen. Goal report that Tottenham are eyeing an ambitious move for €100 million rated Bundesliga winger Diomande, as fan favourite Brennan Johnson is set to exit the club in the January transfer window. Johnson, who scored Spurs' historic winning goal against Manchester United in the Europa League final last season, has fallen out of favour under Thomas Frank and is now likely to leave the North London outfit. According to the BBC's reporting, Spurs are plotting an ambitious move to sign the 19-year-old RB Leipzig winger Diomande to further bolster their attack in the upcoming window. However, as reported by the Athletic's Seb Stafford-Bloor, it is unlikely that the Bundesliga giants will agree to part ways with their star player midway through the season. The German club might consider opening transfer talks in the next summer transfer window, although they are likely to demand a whopping €100 million fee for the wonder kid. Spurs and Leipzig are also reported to be on good terms, of course, following previous negotiations for Timo Werner and Xavi Simons. And Brentford head coach Keith Andrews provided an update on striker Igor Thiago ahead of the Bees Premier League game against Spurs on New Year's Day 8 p.m. kickoff. Thiago has scored 11 goals in 18 Premier League games this season, and Andrews praised the forward for playing through some pain in recent weeks. Thiago had a bit of an issue, but nothing to do with his injury last season at all, said Andrews. This time of year takes its toll, and we need to be careful with some players at times. There's nothing too much to worry about. He's shown a lot of courage and put the team before himself going into the last couple of games. Andrews added, again, this time of year, naturally, you pick up little bits and bobs. The games are coming quite frequently. We are still a couple of days out, so we'll see how everyone is tomorrow and make decisions about them then. Defender Sepp van den Berg will have to be assessed after having missed Brentford's 4-1 win over Bournemouth due to a knock. Josh Da Silva, knee ligament injury, remains sidelined, while Fabio Carvalho and Anthony Malambo will both miss the rest of the campaign due to ACL injuries. Frank Onyeka and Dango Utara are also unavailable due to their involvement in the Africa Cup of Nations with Nigeria and Burkina Faso respectively. And on Spurs team news, Frank stated in his press conference that Bergvall should be okay to feature at Brentford, Destiny Udogie is progressing well, and Romero is back in contention after serving a suspension. Okay, here's my thoughts on those stories today. Firstly, on Dominic Solanke, this can only be good news. Obviously, fans and people on social media begin to think there's a bit more sinister things going on with Dominic Solanke, but he's back in training. Seen the pictures. In fact, pictures on the Spurs X account this morning of Dominic Solanke back in training on the grass with the team. So that's really encouraging. Definitely needs strengthening in those forward positions in the transfer window still, but having Dominic Solanke as an option over the next few weeks is going to be a big boost to Thomas Frank and the team. Whether Dominic Solanke is fit, is he going to pull a sort of Ange Postecoglou thing on and name Dominic Solanke on the bench? Who knows? I can't see it coming. Thomas Frank tends to play with a straight bat in these situations. What I've seen, I would imagine Solanke's probably another couple of games away yet, having been out so long. But it's really good to see Dominic Solanke back on the grass and in training, and hopefully he can stay fit and he has no further setbacks, because we need, as I say, striking options, somebody to support Richarlison. Richarlison thankfully has remained fit and got through a lot of work of late and scored a few goals. So Richarlison needs our help still. So it's really good to have Solanke back, hopefully very soon. Savinho, again, the rumours for Savinho is probably going to last until it's completely poo-pooed by Pep Guardiola or the end of the transfer window comes to pass. You know, Savinho linked with Spurs all last summer. He was keen on the move, but didn't get the deal done. Then he signs a new deal, of course. That's not unusual for clubs to do that, to keep their value up. Savinho not been getting loads of minutes for Pep at Manchester City, and with Semenyo likely to come in, City have got an absolute glut of wingers, haven't they? You know, they've got the likes of Bob and Foden and Savinho and Marmouche. You know, they've got so many at their disposal. Is Pep going to be able to keep all them happy? You'd think, well, at least one of them would have to move on. Obviously, Oscar Bob tipped to move on anyway, possibly to Germany. I think Oscar Bob is a cracking player, by the way, and Premier League proven. You know, could we go for Oscar Bob? No real reports of that, but I think he could possibly be an option. But Savinho, and again, Marmouche was mentioned in a couple of reports I read this morning, but more likely Savinho. I think Spurs have touted this player, as I say, for a couple of windows now. So it's going to be interesting to see if Spurs make a move for Savinho. Do you think he's good enough, Savinho? Get down in the comments and let me know. The other player we're looking at apparently is Diomande. Very tough deal to get done. Really good figures, again, for a German team. Again, a young player, not proven in the Premier League, however. Going to be expensive, and as I say, as good as our relationship is with RB Leipzig, are they going to want to part ways with their star player in January? Probably not, and that's why the January transfer window, among other things, is a very tough window to get deals done in. But you pay the money, teams probably like RB Leipzig won't turn it down. You know, they've actually had a lot of money off Spurs over recent seasons. And of course gave us Timo Werner for a couple of terms, didn't they? Thank you. Yeah, look, I can't see this deal happening because of the reasons said about in the report. It's a tough one to get done. So let's see how this one progresses and see if we hear a bit more news on this once the transfer window actually opens, which of course is imminent. Brentford team news: Igor Thiago, if he's not fit, that's going to be a boost for Spurs. Really good scoring ratio this season for him. Brentford rely on him a lot, of course, obviously having lost Wissa and Bumo over the summer. Brentford just seem one of these teams that keep regenerating, keep finding these players, and the scouting network must be really good. Of course, Brentford actually quite comfortable in the Premier League this season, and I don't expect this game to be an easy one at all. Thomas Frank going to want to get one over on his old club, of course. I think Spurs are going to nick it narrowly 2-1. But get down in the comments, let me know what you think. What do you think the score will be in the Brentford v Tottenham game on New Year's Day? And finally, in Spurs team news there, good news about Bergvall. He's going to be available for selection. We're going to need a sort of playmaker in there, and is he going to rest people? Is he, or if Bergvall doesn't come in, who does he bring in? Are we going to see that double pivot of Paulinho and Bentancur in the middle of the pitch? Going to be interesting. I know people don't like to see that a lot and don't think that those two players can play together with us still progressing forward up the pitch. So that's going to be interesting to see the lineup tomorrow. But that's all from me today, and it's the last one of 2025. So I just want to say a big thank you to everybody for all the support during the past year. Channel's gone from strength to strength. We've broken the 200,000 subscriber count, so that's brilliant. We're going to be bringing you more news in the new year. So from me to all of you, thank you so much, as I say, for all the support and everything and all the comments and all the likes. It really does mean a lot. And may I take this opportunity to wish you all a very happy and peaceful new year. Come on, you Spurs.